Hi everybody, and welcome to another video by Scully. So I noticed that a very common thing that people tend to do a lot in their lives is to think about the future. From a very young age, we're encouraged to think about the future because we have to think about, like, when we're in school, when we're kids, we have to start planning out our lives. What kind of jobs are we going to have? What are we going to study when we get to college? Or if we don't go to college, what are we going to do right when we get out of school? And then so on from that, like if you're going to get married, have kids, the whole 9 yards. Although looking forward to the future and being a futuristic person in general is usually a very positive trait because you're always planning ahead and kind of having a backup plan if things don't work out, it also tends to cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, and just kind of makes you feel like your mind is always preoccupied. So much to the point that you can even miss out on the future, and there's nothing wrong with living in the moment either. Because, here is here right now, and someday you're going to be older. Before you know it, it's going to be like 10 years have passed overnight, and then you're going to wish that you would have enjoyed the current situation a little bit more. But now that it's passed, well, once it's passed, it's passed. Throughout my life, that's something I found myself doing a lot, and initially helpful. I do kind of find myself looking back and wishing that maybe I would have relaxed about the future a little bit more. Because it's not because my life was always really wonderful, but it just, that feeling like you're just so preoccupied with the future. And again, it's good to plan ahead, but the future's the future. The future's not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you find yourself thinking about the future a lot, it's great to have a plan, and it's great to think ahead so that you're prepared. But there's always going to be things in life that we aren't prepared for, and that's okay, because that's just how life is. One of the really wonderful things about life is the fact that it's unpredictable, because sometimes, although things can sometimes be worse than you expect, they can also be much, much better. You can be that 8-year-old kid and think, well, when I'm 22, I'm going to be going to college and I'm going to have this wonderful job and I'm going to just have it all together. And you can be 22 at some point and maybe you don't have all that stuff together. So maybe that part's disappointing, but maybe you end up getting into a much better college than you pictured, or you have much better friends than you pictured. So it's kind of like life just has a way of balancing itself out. So if you find yourself really overstressing about the future too much, try to remind yourself that the future isn't going anywhere and that you have plenty of time to think about it. A lot of things I found myself worrying about when I was maybe a teenager were relevant things to be concerned about, but by the time I was finally old enough to deal with those things, they weren't really as, they were important, but they weren't nearly as scary as I thought they would be, because life just always had this way of working itself out. And life, it just seems like fate really just kind of takes over sometimes. Sometimes even when life doesn't work out how we plan, it just still works out, period, but just not in the way that we expected. So that's kind of something I wanted to mention, especially during this time period, because the future seems really uncertain right now for a lot of people. Which, again, that's okay, because that's just how life is sometimes. But just always remember that it's nice to have a backup plan in life. It's nice to have your ducks in a row and have an idea of what your next move is going to be if plan A doesn't work out. But the future will be there. There will be things to look forward to. Not always having a plan is very scary, because then you don't know what your next move is going to be. But sometimes coming up with a plan is actually a lot more you can do it more easily than you think you can. Sometimes if you have to make a quick decision last minute, you'd be surprised how adaptable you can be when you need to be. And sometimes you can just take some time to kind of weigh your options if you're not sure. Like if you have 3 ideas, but you don't know which one to pick, A, B, or C, you can just kind of weigh them evenly. And then if you really have to make a quick decision, just think, well, okay, I'll just do this one first. And then if that doesn't work, then I'll try this. When you're going from kind of a younger, teenage, young adult age to a little bit older than that, I kind of feel like part of growing up and being more mature is learning that you're actually a lot more capable than you think you are. And it is also learning that how unpredictable life is, but that is also one of the things that makes it very wonderful and very beautiful. Because if we knew all the time what exactly is going to happen all the time in our lives, there'd be no surprises and there'd be no so unexpected, like, things, little happy moments like that. Everything would just kind of be planned out accordingly. You would already know what was going to happen. And, okay, maybe you wouldn't have as much anxiety, but then you wouldn't have as many, like, beautiful surprises, unexpected, like when your friends come visit you one day and they just kind of show up to surprise you. Like, little things like that are always really nice. And it's just kind of like life just creates things whimsically like that. Sometimes being whimsical, being spontaneous can be scary to people too. And that's why having plans is always really nice. But sometimes it's also things that, oh, I know things are really going to be rough today. And then you go to bed at the end of the day thinking to yourself, today wasn't actually so bad. It actually ended better than I thought it would. That's a huge relief, right? Yeah, of course. So I just wanted to take some time to just kind of let people know that if you're somebody like me who spent a great deal of time worrying about the future all the time because you were always afraid of your next move, worried about the what if, what if, what if, what if. Well, what if? What if always sounds like a negative connotation, but sometimes what if can entail why not? Like, why can't something this great happen? Why can't I wake up tomorrow and have a great day when I'm feeling doubtful about it? Sometimes it's just important to keep an open mind about life, about things. Stay positive, look on the bright side, and think, maybe even some other time in your life, like, remember that day I thought this happened, I was going to get in so much trouble, or I really thought today was going to be a bad day and ended up being better than I thought. Well, that could apply to really any day of your life. So during this tough time, even though things are very unpredictable, things seem kind of foggy, kind of like we've lost our ways a little bit, kind of clean off those lenses a little bit and put them back on with a different attitude. And maybe you'll start seeing things you missed before. Maybe another path will show itself to you. If it feels like one path in your life has closed off and is no longer accessible, perhaps you'll look back, maybe towards that direction, and find another path to take that's very similar but different, and maybe it's a more suitable path for you. Because in life, there are many roads. There are many shortcuts, back roads, pathways. Well, we have all these different choices, all these different routes for a reason, because we're all different people with different destinies, with different ambitions. And maybe all those roads lead to the same destiny, and maybe that destiny is enlightenment. Maybe that's happiness. So my point being with that is, okay, well, maybe there's 20 different roads ahead of you. Just pick whichever one you want to take, because they will all lead to happiness. That road will just be a different, more unique, suitable path for you than for somebody else. But you and that friend of yours will both reach happiness, just in different ways and in different times, because everybody works at their own pace. So just some food for thought during this dark time. Hoping that everybody's doing well. Just keep your chin up and keep going. We'll see where this road to life takes us. And we'll see where we get. Let's just start by taking one road, going that way, and just seeing what happens next. And if it's not the right one, then there's several other paths to take. But someday, you'll find your way to happiness. You'll find it on your own terms and when you're ready. And there's no rush, because the future's not going anywhere, and this is your one life for you. Live each day happily. Live in the moment. Think about the future with a positive attitude, but also live in the moment and enjoy the here and the now. Because this one moment, this one now, it may not always be here forever. So just enjoy it while it's here, because you have many other opportunities in life as well. So until then, just enjoy the now.